First, Osman Gazi, the first ruler of the Ottoman Principality in Asia Minor 130–1326. During the reign of Osman, the principality became independent. Its borders were significantly expanded due to the territories of Byzantium in Asia Minor. Under the leadership of Osman, the main governing bodies were established. His father is also known as Ertugrul Ghazi according to some sources. He is considered the founder of the Ottoman Empire and the founder of the Ottoman dynasty, which existed until the beginning of the 20th century. Osman's sword is a symbol of state celebration, a ceremonial attribute of accession to the throne, and a symbol of the struggle for faith. A significant part of the Turkish people called themselves Ottomans before the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. Due to the lack of contemporary historical sources about Osman, very little factual information is known about his life. There is no written evidence of his reign, as almost all documents have been found to be later forgeries. Therefore, all information about Uthman is based on oral traditions and legends that were created and developed much later. For the oldest of the Ottoman sources preserved until modern times is Pappelallee Osman Chronicle of the Osman dynasty, which was written by Ashikbazad in 1476. The first famous chronicler of the empire was Yakshi Fakih, died after 1413, whose father was an imam under Orkhan. Good Fakih wrote a chronicle from Osman to First Bayezid 1398–1402 in his work Manaqib Ali Osman Yildirim Khan Magellan's descriptions of the exploits of the Osmanli dynasty up to Yildirim Khan. The original of this chronicle has not reached modern times, but it is believed that it was included almost verbatim in the works of Ashikbazad and a number of other Ottoman historians. Information about Good Fakih himself is taken from the same text. Ashikbazad wrote that he stayed at the house of Good Fakih in 1413 and obtained a history book from him, using which Ashikbazad rewrote the events. Oruj noted that if they ask how I know and collect these events, I will now refer to the testimony of a dervish who lives in the city of Constantine, Istanbul. His name is Dervish Ahmet Akzik, a wise man of 100 years. He wrote all these events. However, his source of information was Good Fakih, the son of the Imam of Orkhan Gazi, who lived until the reign of Sultan Murad's father, Sultan Mehmed. Since the life story of the founder of the dynasty was first written in the 15th century, a century and a half after his death, certain legends and narratives were formed by that time. It should also be taken into account that all these chronicles were created at the end of the 15th and the beginning of the 16th century by order and under the control of Osman's successors. Researchers believe that it is extremely difficult to separate fact from fiction in stories about the early period of Ottoman history. For example, Colin Imbert wrote that the stories about Osman found in 15th century chronicles are all fiction. The most elementary textual analysis shows that almost all the facts about Osman Gazi and his followers are fiction. Osman Bey, according to some sources, Orkhan Bey was born in 1258 in Soyuz. There are no reliable records of his early life. Information about Osman Bey's lineage and age is traditional, and the oldest was written 100 years after his death. Among these works, Dastan and Tavrikhi Osman by Ahmadi d. 414, Tavrikhi Osman by Krola d. 1464, Bechetu Tavrik and Akspazad d. 1481 can be noted. His father, Ertugrul Ghazi, according to some sources, Erdogdu Bey, headed a large village from the Gay branch of the Bozok region of the Oghuz Turks living in the Willow Plain and the Damanich Plateau in western Anatolia. Osman Gazi was his youngest son. Historian Ibn Kamil d. 1534 in his work called Tawarikhi Osman said that when Ertugrul Bey came to Anatolia Roma he already had 2 sons. While living a nomadic life in Soyuz in 1250 for 652, a lion-faced man with a moon face reports the birth of his youngest son Osman. According to folk tales, his mother or grandmother is Kaima Anna. Again, the historian Ibn Kamil notes that Uthman entered among the brave in his youth and beat everyone in striking, holding and standing and sitting, and states that besides being the youngest of the brothers, he was ahead of all of them in the sword and measures. It is clear that this statement was developed in a similar way to the themes of the Oghuz saga. In 1281, at the age of 23, he married Nalhan Khatun, the daughter of Omar Bey from Giboyan. From this marriage, Orkhan Gazi, who would later become the head of the Ottoman state, was born. Later, he married Beyla Khatun, the daughter of Sheikh Adibali. Alaeddin Bey was born from this marriage. In 1281, his father Ertugrul Bey died when he was 90 years old. According to the common opinion of many historians, the transfer of the position of Beylik to Osman Bey was not peaceful, and in order to assume the position of Beylik, Osman Gazi had a throne struggle with his relatives. With whom this struggle was fought and how it developed is controversial. Historians have given different explanations about it. According to one of these explanations accepted by many, Osman Gazi entered into a conflict with his uncle Dundar Gazi for the lordship. According to this explanation, the leading men of the Gay tribe supported Dundar Bey, while the young brave men of the tribe supported Osman Bey. It is not known how and for how long this conflict lasted. But at the end of the conflict, Osman Bey won and killed the old Dundar Bey with an arrow under the pretext of opposing the flow against the enemy. After that, Osman Bey became the head of the Gay tribe according to the Oghuz custom. In another version, Haji Bektaş Vali's Vilayatnam, Osman takes over the leadership of the governor in a different way. 12 after Gazi settled in Sultania and the surrounding areas, his uncle Adogmak, and then his father Adokdu Artokrul Bey, and then his younger uncle Gunduz Alp became Gazi Bey. During this period, Osman Gazi, together with his men, began to organize streams to the Byzantine cities of Yarhisar, Bilchik, Inegol and Iznik. Byzantine take for judge of Bursa sent envoys to Anatolian Seljuk Sultan Alaeddin III Kayguba, who was in Konya, and complained about these flows. The Seljuk Sultan sent a message to Gunduz Alp and asked him to stop Osman Gazi, who organized the streams. Gunduz Alp captured Osman Gazi and sent him to Konya, to the presence of Alaeddin Kaygubat III. However, Alaeddin III likes Kaygubat Osman Gazi's personality. The Sultan sent him to Haji Bektaş Veli in Garayuk to get his consent. Haji Bektaş welcomed Osman Gazi with hospitality and wrapped his turban on his head, as if he had placed a crown on his head. When Osman returned to Konya, Haji Bektaş Veli sent a letter praising Osman to the Sultan with him. It is stated in the source that after reading the letter, the Sultan wanted Osman to be given a great position. After Osman Gazi returned to Skayet, the center of the Sultanate, the Sultan rewarded him by sending him a gold-headed flag and a medal. This version is repeated in Yatsichizade's Seljuqnama in addition to Vilayatnam. A number of historians consider this award as granting independence to Osman's Beyli. In Haji Bektaş's Vilayatnam there is no information about how the relations between Osman Gazi and Gunduz Alp developed later. Nevertheless, some historians believe that there was a struggle between Osman Gazi and Gunduz Alp, and Osman Gazi defeated Gunduz Alp and captured the principality. Some historians say that there was no such struggle. According to another version, Gunduz Alp was martyred in the Damanich War. A number of historians, based on these versions, believe that there was no fight between Osman Gazi and Dundar Bey, and that this version was influenced by the fight between Osman Gazi and Gunduz Alp. For about 20 years from 1280 to 1300, on the eve of the establishment of the Ottoman state, Osman Gazi experienced a series of clashes with Byzantine forces in Batania region Bursa-Balchik-Iznik area to strengthen his principality. His comrades in arms Sansachevish, Ganar Alp, Akagoka, Eight Alp, Gazi Abdurrahman, and other Alpine gentlemen were followers of these clashes. The religious and spiritual support of Osman Gazi was given by the Akilis. In particular, Sheikh Adibali, the Atburnu Sheikh of the Eskişehir clan, whose daughter he married Beylik Khan, advised and supported him. Osman Gazi was defeated for the first time in 1283 in the Armenian battle between Inegol for Judge and Nikola. Beykoja, the son of his brother Saruhan, was martyred in this battle. In 1284, Osman Bey suddenly attacked the Kulia fortress at night on the foothills of Emirdagi near Inegol with a force of 300 people and captured the fortress. This is the first recorded fortress conquest by the Ottomans. In 1286, the Battle of Damanich took place near a kiss between Osman Bey and the combined forces of Inegol and Karakahizar Malachia judges. Osman Bey won this battle, but his brother Saruhan, according to some sources, Gunduz Alp was martyred. As a result of this victory, Karakahizar passed into the hands of Osman Bey. After that, Osman Gazi implemented the policy of making streams together with his allies. Sansachevish, who was near Madernu, with the forces of his brother Sadilmas and Kozny Kyle, rushed to Sorkin, Tarkali Yanachesi and Voynich, located along the Sakarya River. In 1298 to 1299, the judge of Bayachik Belikona, who was worried about the strengthening of Osman Gazi and felt the danger, invited Osman Gazi to the wedding ceremony of his son, who was to be married to the daughter of the judge of Yarhisar, and planned to kill him by setting up an ambush there. Despite this, the Harmangaya judge, who was a friend of Osman Gazi and an enemy of the Bayachik judge, informed Osman Gazi about this ambush and prevented him from falling into the ambush. In 1298 to 1299, the judge of Bayachik Belikona, who was worried about the strengthening of Osman Gazi and felt the danger, invited Osman Gazi to the wedding ceremony of his son, who was to be married to the daughter of the judge of Yarhisar, and planned to kill him by setting up an ambush there. Despite this, the Harmangaya judge, who was a friend of Osman Gazi and an enemy of the Bayachik judge, informed Osman Gazi about this ambush and prevented him from falling into the ambush. At the same time, Osman Bey defeated the forces protecting the wedding guests from Yarhisar around Chakir. Halafira later Nilyafar Khatun, the daughter of the judge of Yarhisar, who was among those who came to the wedding, was captured and married to Osman Bey's son Orkhan Gazi. As a result of these clashes, Bayachik judge was killed. Bayachik and Yarhisar castles were captured by Osman Bey. At the same time between 1298 and 1299, Turgut Alp besieged the Inegöl fortress, and this fortress also fell into the hands of the Ottomans. On which date Osman Bey established the principality is controversial among historians. After the conquest of Kalaka and Karakahizar fortresses, the capture of Inegöl in 1299 is considered as the founding date of the Ottoman state. A number of historians accept that after the fall of the Anatolian Seljuk state in 1299, Osman Gazi gained independence and founded the Ottoman state. Other historians point out that Anatolian Seljuk Sultan II Ghiyasettin Masud sent a flag and medal to Osman Gazi in 1299, which meant giving independence to the Beylik. Historians note that Bilaj, the center of silk and blacksmithing, fell into the hands of the Ottomans in the third phase of Osman Gazi's 70-year life. At this stage of his life, battles played an important role. His first success at this stage is considered to be the capture of Korpuhizar. At this stage, the target became Nicaea, later Iznik, an important Byzantine city. In 1301, Yenisihir, whose population was Turkmen, was built to the west of the lake in order to oppose the city of Nicaea, which is located in the east of Iznik Lake. Osman Bey made Yenisihir the center of the Beylik. According to the work written by the historian Mem Nasri in the 1500s, the first sermon in the name of Osman Gazi was read in a church converted into a mosque in Karakahizar by Dursun of Garamanli, the disciple of Sheikh Atabali. Bey Osman gave shares in the form of dirlik to his close relatives and comrades in arms in accordance with the Aghuz clans. Old City was given to his brother Gunduz Bey, Karacahisar's son to Orkhan Bey, Yarhisar to Hasan Alpa, and Inegöl to Turgut Alpa. Osman Bey and his allies fought against the local Byzantine forces until 1299. Byzantine Emperor Andronicus II understood the growing threat of the Turkmen nobles. In the same year, the Byzantine army commanded by Mikhail, with whom he shared the imperial duties, was defeated by a Turkmen army in Menderes Magnesias, near the present-day Germanic settlement, and fled to avoid being captured. A few weeks after that, on June 17, 1302, the local powers of the Bursa, or Kaneliatarnos, Castle rulers of Byzantium united with mercenary units sent by ships from Constantinople and faced Osman Gazi. They started advancing from the direction of Yalakova, located near Ulova, to recapture the city of Nicaea, captured by Osman Bey. The central Byzantine unit of 2,000 men was commanded by Historiography Muzalan. Osman Bey was informed that the Byzantine soldiers had come ashore. He chose as his objective to prevent the Byzantine forces from advancing south from Yalakova and recapturing Iznik. The 5,000-strong mixed Turkmen cavalry and infantry units commanded by Osman Bey quickly moved from Yalaktera to the coast of Yalakov. The commander of the Byzantine army, Muzalan, did not expect this, and this encounter had the character of a sudden raid. The Byzantine mercenaries counterattacked, allowing the main Byzantine forces to retreat and regroup. Despite this, the Byzantine soldiers were defeated in the clash and began to retreat in disorder. Thus, Osman Bey, who had a numerical advantage, won this battle. As a result, the Byzantine forces began to run back towards the city of Nicomedia, even if they did not suffer many losses. The main Byzantine forces fled to Constantinople on board the ships that were still on the coast as a result of the protection of the Byzantines. According to the interview given by historian Catalan in 2009, the establishment of the Ottoman Principality as a state took place after the victory won in the Battle of Bapheus near Ulova in 1302. This battle took place near the Herzog village of Ulova. Georgi Pachemirs, a researcher of Byzantine history, named the battle as the Battle of Bapheus after Bapheus, Byzantine settlement in Yalıktar. Some Turkish historians call the Battle of Çobangala based on the name Çobangala, which is the Turkish equivalent of Bapheus. However, other historians, Joseph von Hammer, Ahmed Rafik Altınay and others refer to this battle as the Battle of Görenhisar. On the Ottoman side, Atagu Bey, the nephew of Osman Bey, was martyred in this battle. The Battle of Bapheus is the first battle between the Byzantine regular army and the Ottomans. After this battle, the southern shores of the Sea of Marmara remained defenseless against Osman Bey's attacks. In the same year, Kite Castle, Orkhaneli Atarnos and Alios Island located in Uliabat Lake fell into the hands of the Ottomans. The command of the Kite fortress resisted, and after the capture of the fortress, Atagu was killed for revenge. The Byzantine emperor also understood that Osman Bey's route from the Aegean Sea to Edremit was opened. In addition to occupying the main positions, the Ottoman forces also organized streams to the surrounding villages. These flows caused alarm among the rural population living in the agricultural areas south of the Sea of Marmara, and they gradually began to migrate. Georgi Pachemirs, a researcher of Byzantine history, wrote in his book about the great migration of the peasants living in the agricultural fields of Byzantium and the difficulties caused by this migration. As a result of the Battle of Bapheus, the Byzantine emperor decided to start the policy of expelling the Ottomans and other Turkmen principalities from western Anatolia. Roger de Flaux, who became famous for his plunders in the Mediterranean Sea, and his subordinate mercenary accepted the offer to come to Anatolia after the end of the Catalan Union's contract with Sicily and was invited to Constantinople. These mercenaries, called the Catalan Union because most of them were Catalans, arrived in the Golden Horn with their families on September 1, 1302, along with 31 military and auxiliary cargo ships. It is known that the number of this unit reached 2,500, most of which consisted of heavy cavalry units. The Byzantine Emperor Andronicus II married the daughter of Roger de Flaux, the commander of the Catalan Union, to increase his loyalty to himself. Roger de Flaux had first punished the Genoese in Constantinople. Then he severely defeated the forces of Carussi Bailey, who besieged the important city of Zikis on the Capetid Peninsula. In this battle, the Catalan unit became famous for its heavy cavalry units and bulletproof armor. Then he passed to Alashahar and besieged the place and severely defeated the forces of Garamano Gulari Bailey. Then he advanced with his army to Gulat Bosphorus and returned to Alashahar, where his booty was kept. Here, new forces from Europe joined his union, the Catalan division, and Roger de Flaux then went to Constantinople. Roger de Flaux went to Adrianople Edirne to support Emperor Michael IX, but was assassinated there in 1305. Although the Catalan Union did not fight with the Ottomans, it defeated the forces of the other three principalities. Byzantine historians note that the invincibility of the Catalan unity slowed down the flow of Ottoman rule to the south of the Sea of Marmara. In 1308, the stream started again. First, Turkoki Garahizar, an important station located on the Iznik-Izmit road, was captured. In 1313, the Harmangdaya judge of Byzantium, Mikhail Kashiz, who helped Osman Bey a lot, accepted Islam and began to join the sects, taking the name of Kaksi Mikhail. In 1313 to 1315, the fortresses of Lefk, Nekis, Akhisar, Gaiv, Golbazari and Leblebici, located along the river Sakarya, were captured. After these conquests, the capture of the city of Bursa was required in order to further increase the territory of the principality. During the period of Bey Osman, His soldiers were not capable of capturing the great fortress of Bursa. For this reason, Osman Bey tried to make Bursa surrender by keeping it under siege for a long time. In order to keep the city under better siege, two small forts were built around it. Osman Bey gave the management of these fortresses to his nephew Agtamer and his slave Balank. Due to his old age and gout, Osman Gazi entrusted his son Orkhan with managing the estate. The date of when Osman Bey died and the date of the full administration of the Bailey passed into the hands of Orkhan Bey is disputed. Osman Bey's name is no longer mentioned in the events that happened after 1320. In the work Tavariali Osman written by Ruhi Kalibi, one of the Ottoman historians of the 15th century, it is written that Osman Bey died in 1320. In another work called Tavariali Osman by Oruj Bey, who lived in the times of Mem II and Bayezid II and wrote down the history up to the events of 1502. It is written that Osman Bey died in 1327. Other historians show the date of Osman Bey's death between these two dates. Nekdet Salkoklu, one of the contemporary historians, notes that the name of Osman Bey is not mentioned in the events after 1320. And there is information in the sources that Orkhan Bey took over the administration in 1324. He came to the conclusion that Osman Bey died in 1324. The issue of where Mr. Osman died is also controversial. Most likely, he died in Soyud. Some historians claim that Bursa was captured by the Ottomans before his death, and that Osman Bey died in Bursa. Despite this, a large part of historians accept the idea that Bursa was conquered in the first years of Orkhan Bey's rule. Based on this, they accept that Osman Bey was first buried in the tomb of his father Ertugrul Bey in Soyud, and after the conquest of Bursa, his grave was moved to Gamuklu Kumbit Ayala located in Osman I Square in Bursa Castle.